Stone Age. The Stone Age is divided into three periods: the Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, and the Neolithic. The Paleolithic is the oldest and longest of the three, and it's the first period to see Homo habilis, the first true human species. Homo habilis were able to craft primitive tools such as chipped stones with a sharp edge and build basic shelters. After Homo habilis, Homo erectus appeared. They were the first to learn to control fire for cooking and defense against large beasts and the cold. Homo erectus walked from Africa into Europe and Asia, making it the first intercontinental human species. They improved their tool crafting skills, hunted larger beasts using spears, used animal fur for protection from the cold, and started building huts. After Homo erectus, Neanderthals appeared, the most commonly found extinct human species. They were the first to make tools out of bones instead of stones, started wearing clothes, making ornaments, and even buried the dead with flowers. Despite their advancements, Neanderthals went extinct and were replaced by modern humans, Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is the only remaining human species today. The Paleolithic people formed tribes and used shelters just for the night since they were still nomadic. During the Mesolithic period, some humans started building camps around rivers, becoming more sedentary. The bow and arrow were invented, the first long-range weapon, and the refinement of tool crafting skills allowed for the creation of fishing tools and boats. The Neolithic period ended the hunter-gatherer lifestyle completely as they discovered agriculture and developed numerous farming tools. Cattle breeding began, and sheep, goats, and pigs were domesticated. These discoveries caused humans to stay in one place longer, enabling the creation of villages. Pottery, basketry, weaving, and the wheel appeared. The Stone Age lasted so long that it represents 99% of human history. The discovery of metal working, specifically the melting and smelting of copper, put an end to the Stone Age. Although some basic forms of metal work, like the use of gold for ornamentation, were already known. Bronze Age. When people noticed that putting copper on fire made it softer and easier to shape, they started using it since it was more durable. However, copper was too soft to be used as a weapon until they discovered that adding other materials like arsenic or zinc created bronze, a much harder metal. Bronze enabled the creation of the first swords, helmets, armor. Majestic buildings such as ziggurats, pyramids, and multiple temples were constructed during the Bronze Age. However, the Bronze Age ended with a societal collapse where many large civilizations disappeared almost instantaneously, and many technological inventions were lost. Theories suggest that these civilizations were wiped out by volcanic eruptions, droughts, disease, invasions, and earthquakes. Iron Age. After the Bronze Age collapse, humans discovered they could smelt iron, even though they already knew this material thanks to meteoric iron, which didn't require smelting and was more rare and valuable than gold. The initial forms of iron smelting didn't provide any advantage over bronze smelting, but since iron was less rare, they could mass-produce tools and weapons. During this age, many construction and farming tools were discovered, such as forks and sewing needles. Coins became a widespread currency for trade, and the famous Great Silk Road trade route was created. The Iron Age was the last age of prehistory. Classical Antiquity. The first period of classical antiquity, called the Archaic period, is when we start to have historical written records. The first known was made by Herodotus, known as the father of history in the Western world. The Greeks and Romans laid the foundation for Western civilization, while the eastern part saw the first Chinese imperial dynasty. The moral and philosophical foundations of today's Western and Eastern worlds belong to this period, with Greek philosophers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and the writings of Confucius. Art played a significant role, and classical art pieces are still considered some of the best in history. The ancient Greeks experimented with the first democracy, and there was evidence of the first truly scientific thinking. The father of medicine, Hippocrates, lived in ancient Greece. Famous leaders such as Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar ruled during this period. Classical antiquity ended with the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Middle Ages. The Middle Ages are divided into three parts: the Early Middle Ages, the High Middle Ages, and the Late Middle Ages. The Early Middle Ages, also called the Dark Ages, represent the period after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, marked by economic, intellectual, and cultural decline. Some use the term Dark Ages because of the scarcity of records from this period. Central states in Europe lost power, and Islam began to emerge. A societal system where one party granted property in return for services, mostly military, that the recipient or vassal had to render to the grantor or lord. The Catholic Church militarized after clashes with other powers, and the schism with the Eastern Church, which became the Orthodox Eastern Church, conducted the Crusades. State power began to rebuild its legitimacy and strength, and the famous Gothic architecture style emerged. The Late Middle Ages started with negative events such as the Little Ice Age, which caused the Great Famine, the 100 Years' War between France and England, the Black Death, which killed 1/3 of Europe's population. However, the printing press was invented, enabling the creation of mass-produced newsletters. Using multiple sources is still timely and costly, resulting in many people getting their news from one source, leading to a biased and filtered vision. Ground News, today's sponsor, addresses this problem by providing a solution that allows users to see stories from different sources and the political bias of each source. They offer a 40% discount on their Vantage plan, which includes unlimited access to all features. Returning to the Middle Ages, European exploration for new trade routes began. West Africa saw major empires, including the Mali Empire with Mansa Musa, the richest person ever, while Asia saw the rise of the Mongol Empire with Genghis Khan. Modern Age. The early modern age was characterized by significant cultural and scientific changes such as humanism, the philosophical focus on humans, their agency, and potential. The Renaissance aimed to revive and surpass classical antiquity's values and achievements. After the Renaissance, Protestantism started with Martin Luther and his 95 Theses. The scientific revolution laid the basis for modern science with contributions from figures like Isaac Newton. The Age of Enlightenment followed, an intellectual and philosophical movement emphasizing knowledge through rationalism and political ideals like natural law, liberty, and progress. Inspired by the American and French revolutions, with innovations such as standardization, mass production, telegraph and railroad networks, gas and water supply, sewage systems, electrical power, and telephones. After that, the two world wars happened, leading to the Information Age, also referred to as the Third Industrial Revolution, characterized by computers, the Internet, artificial intelligence, and robots. The period after World War II is known as contemporary history.